Oh no. Yeah, just ready for the Christmas time. Jaunty angle, there we are. What up team? Lovely to have you aboard. Today we're going to be talking about snow, canvas. If we pop across over here to aerotwist.com, you will see that there is some snow. I actually have this in throughout the year, and it just early exits if it's not December. And I'm going to show you how you can make something a little bit like this. It's a little bit of fun for this time of year. Of course, if you're in the southern hemisphere, happy summer to you. This will make more sense in June. So maybe just save it until then. But for the folks who are in the northern hemisphere like me, who are finding it rather chilly at the present moment, welcome. With that said, let's head over to localhost 8080. There's currently nothing there, as one might expect, because we're not actually running anything. So what I've got is a little bit of source code here. I've just got some HTML with the HTML and body being set to 100% width and height. A bit of background of a kind of a purple color. And then I'm linking off to this Snow.js file, which is currently empty. So with that said, let's bring up a terminal, which we can do in VS Code. I think it's Control, Shift, and then the backtick. The international sign for backtick there, apparently. I'm just going to run HTTP server. Just give that a bit of a run. Good. Now we can reload that. And it says snow. But you'll note that what we're lacking is snow. We should make the snow. Okay. So to begin with, we need ourselves a canvas. All right, let me go in here and let's see what we can do. I'm going to just see if I can just bring that down a little bit. Snow.js. Let's make it an iffy today. Function, and we will execute this. Right, what we need ourselves a canvas, and I'm just going to drop it straight into the document. I'm going to make this canvas take up the full width and height. As you saw on my site, I have it parented to the kind of masthead element, and you can do stuff like that. In fact, I think you'd have to unminify the source code on my site to make it work, but sure. Okay, so what we're going to do though is we're going to make ourselves a canvas. So canvas document.create element canvas, and we need the context to be able to work with. So the context, I'm going to ask the canvas for that. Canvas.get context 2D. We want the 2D context. You can ask for a WebGL context if you prefer. I wouldn't here because you don't want to do WebGL Snow because that'll take you 10 times as long. And there's no need. Stick to the canvas, the 2D one. Cool. Okay, so the canvas, let's see what we want to do. Well, what we're going to have, I think, is we're going to have an animation loop. So I'm just going to start that up now. So we'll say const update equals this, an arrow function. Again, you can do this so many different ways. Like, I mean, honestly, actually, just as a side note on all this, I think one of the things to bear in mind is there are so many ways to solve problems on the web. One of the great skills that you can develop as a developer, one of the great skills that you can hone as a developer is solving problems in different ways. Sometimes you'll see somebody use an iffy, or maybe a class, or maybe they'll do it with a framework, whatever it is. Being able to switch technologies or approaches is the thing that will make you valuable as a developer, because it's that experience that your employers are going to want, your teammates are going to want, where you get different constraints at different times. And when you get those constraints and you say, that's fine. If you need it to just be ES5 or whatever, I can use var. I understand the rules of var versus const and let. And so on and so forth. Bear in mind that when I do these things, it seems like I maybe do things different ways at different times. The reason is I'm actually just trying to kind of keep things churning for myself, because I know that I need constant reminders of different ways to approach problems. So that's all set. Right, we have an update function. So we're going to request an animation frame inside it. If you're not clear why it is I am doing it almost like this recursive request animation frame thing like this, check out the video that I will link up there that has an explanation of request animation frame and the way it's doing its thing. So what we need is do you know what? I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to change it to I'm going to change it to a class, because I can. Constructor. Why am I doing it this way? See what I mean? I'm just changing things. This.canvas. So it's now property of the snow. The snow has a canvas? What kind of nature are you operating in, Paul? You unusual gentleman, you. Right. Let's see. We'll still do this, though. No. Get rid of that. Right, let's move this inside of here. For now, I'm going to say new snow. And then we're going to leave an all-important comment. Let it snow. Like so. Let it snow like so. Interesting. Okay, so we have our update. Now what we'll want to do is we'll actually want to move this to a function like that. And I'm going to do that, like that. And then I'm going to request, and then that. Whoops. I'm going to request our first one like this. And it needs to be this.update because it's not just a const anymore. It's not just a variable. And the scope of this will change, as in inside of this callback, anything, if I referred to this inside of update, it would say window. So what I typically do is I'll say this.update, say bound, and sometimes I don't even say the bound, equals this.update.bind this. So what that's going to do is it's going to force this, it's going to take a copy of the update function, going to bind this so that it's always the instance of the class, and then we're just going to pop that instead of these. That means that when we call update, we now are sure that this will refer to the instance of the class, which will be useful for other things later on. Right, what I want is I want a class of Snowflake. I'm going to want one of these for sure at some point. Constructor, and then we're going to have some opts here, which will be things like the width or the radius and so on. We'll get there, don't worry. So we've got a canvas, we've got a context, and we're going to have on resize, which is going to be the function that we want to call initially to size the context of the canvas, but later on, whenever the window changes size, we're going to want to resize the canvas along with it. So let's do that now. Let's go for that. I'm going to set the canvas, if there is one, in here in the CSS to width 100%, height 100%. All right, let's do that. Cool. So on resize, so we want to say this.canvas.width equals window.innerWidth. This.canvas.height equals window.innerHeight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it at the start. I'm going to say this.resize. So we're just going to get that straight away. And then I am going to register it as a callback so that when the window resizes, so window.addEventListener resize. This dot on resize. And I'm doing this indirectly by calling it as an arrow function. Again, you could bind it like I've done with the update, and then you could just call it directly. Right. So we should be able to resize our canvas now. We can check that. What we'll do is we'll actually put a background color on it just for the time being. Background red. So does that work? No, it does not. Let's find out why. Canvas is not defined, of course, because I actually haven't done anything sensible with it yet. Oh no, I have. This.canvas is document create element canvas. Okay. Node.js and 10. Oh, I found out what it is. It is this.canvas, not just canvas. Some of you have been probably sitting there going, there's a bug. He's not noticed the bug. Anyway, found it, fixed it, resize it. Okay, so we haven't actually added it to the body, so that's the other thing to do. Let's grab our document.body.append child this.canvas. Okay, so we got a little bit of a margin in the top left-hand corner there, which we can fix this by just saying canvas display block, because by default I believe it's display in line. And did I set padding and margin to 0? No, I did not. Padding 0, margin 0. So I might not need the display block after all. Actually, let's have a check. Okay, I don't need it. I don't need it. Now, does it resize properly? Yes, it does. Cool. That's all good. In fact, we can just double check that it's resizing with our resize handler by just console.logging. And of course, like most people, you're thinking, why doesn't he use the debugger? And I do sometimes, but for these quick checks, you can't beat a little bit of logging. Look at that, all those resize, on resize, on resize. It's very upset I don't have a favicon, isn't it? Look, I can't find your favicon. Sure. Okay, so we can get rid of that red color because that's horrendous, and the display block because apparently we don't need it. So that's all good. So we're back to this now. Let's make some snow. Yeah. So each snowflake, we're going to call an update inside of it. So we're going to say for const flake. Snowflakes. Sure. All right. Let's do that. Now in here we need to actually, I'm just gonna, let me have a look. Do I like any of these? I'm just gonna move these. Well, they are constricty things. Right, that's fine, whatever. I'm gonna, okay, so this dot create snowflakes. All right, let's create some snowflakes. What a weird function to have. Don't let me near your code bases, that's all I'm saying. Sure. Okay, let's see. Now, how many snowflakes do we want? Well, we could use something like the inner width of the window to make it proportional to the window size. Let's start with that, and we'll see how we go. So, const flakes equals window.inner width. So we're going to say for if your window is 1,000 pixels wide, we'd make 1,000 snowflakes. That's a lot. Said it out loud. I'm going to divide it by 4 to start with. Thinking, always thinking. Right, let's see. So we can, there's loads of ways to do this. There isn't a really good way, at least in my view, of doing this well, but let's do this.snowflakes equals. Now you can do a new array flakes.fill 0. No, I don't like this. No, can't bring myself to do it. Can't bring myself, because you could do it like make a new array, fill it, and then map it across to a load of snowflakes. I'll look back at that in a few months and be like, Paul, you were trying to be clever. We all know that doesn't work out when you try and be clever, Paul. Don't do it. So for let s s for snowflake. S++. Cool. Right, we're going to go through the flakes, and we're going to say this.snowflakes.push, and then we're going to say new snowflake, like that. So we're going to have an array of snowflakes. All right, absolutely useless, but sure. Right, in our update, each one, we're going to pass over each one, and we're going to just ask it to update. So we're going to basically, so we enter this update loop, and we'll be drawing the snowflakes in a second. But for now, what we want to do is we want to say to each snowflake, could you update, please? And then we're going to draw each snowflake. So what we'll do is, let's think about what would go into this. So, well, first thing with an update is we need to clear the canvas context. So the canvas context is like a big bitmap that you can draw to. You get an API like move to, line to, begin path, close path. If you've never used it before, it's like any kind of drawing rasterizer, really, where you just you draw the shapes you're interested in drawing. In our case, we're going to draw some circles because that's snowflake-ish. You could do something more extravagant. I leave that to you. If you do, tag me in. Show me the snowflakes, the fancy ones, or the circular ones. If you use this or do something like this, include me. I love a bit of festive snowflakes. If you do it in June, because you're in the southern hemisphere and you have snow, tag me then, because it'll just weird me out. All right. What are we doing? Ah, yes, we're clearing the context. Wow, you really are distracting yourself today, Paul. All right, context.clear rectangle. We want to clear a rectangle, and we want to say the width, or x is 0, y is 0. The width would be this.width and this.height. So we don't have these yet, these two. But let's find what we need to do is we need to do that. So we will say this dot width equals window dot inner width. Oh man. Oh, what are you doing? This dot height equals window dot inner height. Yes! Good. So we can now get rid of that and say this dot width. Yeah, we can get rid of this and say this dot height. Marvelous. Okay, so we do that and we can clear our rectangle. Now we need to just say for, right, so this dot canvas, the canvas context, begin path. So we're going to draw each snowflake in turn. And then every time you call begin path, you want to, by default, just, it's a good practice to get into. Once you've done the begin path, do your close path. Okay, that's the thing that's going to help you. If you ever use save on a canvas context, which you can do to kind of store the context of what's going on, like any transforms and that kind of thing that you've applied. I'm not going to get into that today, I don't think. If you call save, always just write the restore line immediately so that you don't forget. It's a bit like when if you do C++ work, they always say to you, as soon as you write new, make sure you write delete somewhere so you know where you're going to release the memory that you've reserved. Similar kind of idea here, just it will save you some heartache. Begin path. So we're going to begin path and we're going to say this dot ctx dot arc. It's an arc because we're going to draw a circle. And we're going to say flake.x. So we know we need an x position from our flake. Flake.y, flake.r. Now we go from a 0 to math.pi times by 2, which is a full circle in radians, and we don't care for it to be that. This dot ctx. Well, we are going to use save and restore. I've just realized that. We're going to fill. That would fill a circle. Now the color of the circle will be this dot ctx dot fill style equals white. Okay, that's fine. We're going to fill it white, and then we're going to say this dot. Before we fill it, we want to set the global alpha. Now this is something that would be dependent on the snowflake. So each snowflake is going to carry its own alpha. So we're going to do A for that. Oh, I'll do alpha. I'll change this one to radius as well. I'll be clearer. Because I'll look back in a while and be like, Paul, what were you thinking? Now, since we've changed the global alpha, that feels like a global change to the canvas. So this would be a good time to do ctx.save. And like I just said, if you're going to do save, do the restore immediately. So we're kind of resetting. So we're saving the state here. We do some local changes now, and then we restore it. So we're sort of taking it back to the state it was. So each Snowflake kind of gets a unique pass at the canvas context without kind of having to remember that we set global alpha or even what the fill style is. Cool, so those are the things that we need. So X, Y, radius, and alpha. Okay, so that's good. So what we need in here is we need in fact, I'm not going to even do that. I'm just going to say this dot X equals 0, this dot Y equals 0, this dot velocity X. Oh, interesting. Why is he doing that? This dot velocity Y equals 0. You'll have to stick around and find out. Radius is 0, and then this dot alpha equals 0. So this is where we do some number fishing, which is where I like to guess about between 3 and 7. I'm guessing numbers. When you do number fishing, it's a great sport. I do love it. It basically means I haven't got a clue, so we're going to do magic numbers everywhere. I'm going to write a function, though, a helper function, which I'm going to put, actually I don't want to make it global because this is not a module, so I'm just going to put it in here. Rand between a minimum and a maximum number. And the way this function works, it's just going to be a one-liner. We're going to return the min plus math.random times by max minus min. Yes, there we are. What is he doing there? It's random between, so if math.random is 0, you'd end up with min plus 0 times the range, which just gives you min. If math.random is 1, you get min plus 1 times max minus min, which is just basically max. So it's a number between min and max. And this will help us in a moment. So let's have a reset. And the reset's going to change it's going to set the values on the snowflake. Yes, good. Right, now how do we do this? Let's have a think. Oh, we can make it easy on ourselves. Yes. Yes. Yeah, let's do that. This dot x equals rand between 0 and this dot window. No, wait, it's not this dot window. Inner width, that's what we want. So that's that. This dot y equals this dot rand between 0 and say minus 100. Actually, no, we'll do minus window dot height. I have a reason, inner height. There we are. So it's going to start basically off screen. Okay, this dot vx. So this is going to be the x velocity. Woo. This dot rand between, and say minus 3 and 3. Guessing this dot vx, vy, sorry, is this dot rand between. That might be a bit much. 2 and 5. So it's going to come down, and this dot radius equals 1 plus this. Oh no, that's the whole point of the round between, Paul. This dot round between, come on, 1 and 4. This dot alpha equals, again, round between 0.1 and 0.9. 0.9. There we are. Right, so we can do that. We're going to call this dot reset right here. So the first thing when we make a snowflake, we're going to reset it to have these values. And now when we update, we're going to say the x plus equals this dot vx, and this dot y plus equals this dot vy. And then we can say if this dot y plus this dot radius is greater than window dot inner height. So if we've gone off the bottom of the screen, this dot reset, and then we'll get some new values and it'll look like a completely new snowflake. So with all that said, did that work? I'm sorry, can we just take a moment to enjoy the fact that I wrote all that code off the top of my head and it actually worked. And we've got snow. I expected bugs, people. This never happens, and it just happened on camera. Cool. Right, now we can resize the window a little bit as well. Look, if we resize the window, there we go. La, la, la. Our snow will go there. La, la, la. It's there. Yeah. It'll work. It should work on a phone. Let's do that. Bring that out. Change that from responsive to, like, I don't know, a Pixel 2. There we are. That's what it would look like on a Pixel 2. Now, that's interesting. Okay, we do have a bug. Okay. Now, why would we have a bug, actually? That's an interesting thing. Canvas is full height. Interesting. Let's go back. One bug. Inner height. It was just too much to believe that I'd do this without a mistake, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Yeah. So close. So close. Oh. Merry Christmas. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you have. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you lovely folks on the oh so merry flip side. In we go.